Hi and welcome back to the homestead. It is a beautiful day today. I don't know where this weather came from, so it's a nice day to sit under the tree with you guys today. And we've been having some things happening around here that are a little concerning, and I wanted to talk to you. We're basically going to have like a little story time. I think you're going to get something out of it. Well, in case you guys are new around here, my husband and I live off-grid. That means we don't have any public utilities, and we live in a little 600 square foot cabin. We run and work off 100% off of rainwater, gravity fed into our cabin, and we have a composting toilet. I heat with a wood burning cook stove, and we try to live as self-sufficiently as we can here, grow about 90% of our food. So welcome if you guys are new here. And today what I wanted to talk to you guys about is a problem that a lot of people deal with around the country, which are raccoons. Raccoons, you know, they look so cute and wonderful, but really they can wreak havoc on people and on things, on your animals, you know, on your trash cans, eating your bird food and all that kind of stuff. When I decided to do this video, I kind of delved into it a little bit more, and I was kind of dumbfounded by a few things that I learned that I had no clue about. Now, as you can see here, this is Molly, my Airedale. She's our wonderful farm dog here. And she goes around and she patrols all the time, and she's out and about, she's out. We have woods in the back there, and the other night she was kind of weird, and she lay down, and then I noticed on the floor that there was some blood. So then I'm trying to look and see, you know, a lot of times she'll cut her foot or something will happen. So when I looked down and I noticed that there was some blood on the floor, I'm looking on her body to make sure, you know, she was okay. And then I found a little place up here that there was some blood, and I figured, you know, she could have scratched herself. She could have went under the barbed wire fence somewhere. She was kind of skittish. She didn't even want me to put any peroxide or anything for me to clean it off. So at that time, I just got some of the bentonite clay gel. I thought I'll just put a little on there, and she didn't even want me to hardly do that. It was the morning, and she just, you know, went about her business doing her thing, and later on in that day, I smelled something really bad, and it just smelled like rotting flesh. And I had smelled this before, you know, from having animals and what happens with injuries and stuff. I went ahead and went to the vet, and he went ahead and shaved her on her neck here. And I was flabbergasted at what we saw. It was like literally there was bite marks all over the place, parts that I couldn't even see, and it was abscessing. There was pus coming out, and it was all swollen. I mean, it was like the size of my fist coming out of her throat. I was like, whoa, and he thought that it was definitely a raccoon probably that had gotten her. They got in a scrap. A dog could be similar to like a coyote, so it's an animal that is going to attack possibly a raccoon. And a raccoon is a pretty tough little creature, and if it feels threatened or something, it will come at you. I mean, they have been known, they'll kill kittens, they'll, you know, get kittens, they'll get cats, little dogs.
She says the county actually told her that the county can't go looking for this raccoon because they say it would be impossible to single it out from other raccoons.
And the next thing I knew, he attached his front paws around my leg and took his mouth and started biting into my leg.
They're fierce, very, very fierce, and they're very, very smart, and they'll come at you. They have very sharp teeth and very sharp claws. They have little fingers that are like, you know, little human fingers almost, and they're very nimble. They can get into things, they can open doors. But what happened is it was abscessing. It's very important when you have any kind of injury, especially in a dog, that you shave the area, and then that way you can treat it. And I had the hair on there, so she had thick hair. I put a little clay on there so it needed to breathe. Because remember, when you guys have any injury to you or an animal or whatever, and it's a puncture, especially a bite, and I didn't know she had gotten bitten at all, that you really need to let it drain, clean it out really good, and then let it drain. And so he told me the best thing that I could do for her is to get some Epsom salts and some warm water and make a compress and soak it like as many times a day as I could possibly think of, and just let it soak there. So what I did is I got some Epsom salts, and then I got some warm water and mix it up, and I just put it in a container, and then I needed to use a clean rag every time I did it. So I put it in the water, and then I would go ahead and compress it on her neck. And the funny thing is she didn't want me to ever touch her, but when I put that on her neck, she always let me, because that thing can get really painful, those abscesses, because they're oozing pus. And the vet told me that I was really lucky that I brought her when I did, because those abscesses, I mean, a lot of times the dogs and stuff can die because when they have all that fur, it really covers the injury up, so you really can't tell what's up. So after just a couple days, it went down. I mean, it was huge, because he said that possibly that the swelling could not go down all the way, and she might have permanent, like a lump there from like the scar tissue. So she's feeling very good. She's running and playing. Everything's good with her. Talking about raccoons, we could talk for hours, I think, about raccoons and raccoon stories. And I know a lot of you guys have raccoon stories too. And I know a lot of you guys have dealt with them. They are very smart. They can problem solve.
Multiple intelligence tests on raccoons have revealed that they are actually quite smart. They can be taught how to ride a bicycle, how to pick locks, find their way through a maze, and complete several other challenges. In fact, recent intelligence tests suggest that raccoons are more intelligent than your cat or dog.
And they have a good memory too. They can remember things very, very well. I know with us this winter, we had never had any issues with raccoons here. Our door, we have a very heavy door, and on the very bottom of the door, a little piece of wood had chipped out. I mean, it's not even the size of my pinky. And all of a sudden I'd go in there and one of our chickens, you know, its head was gone. And then I was like, what? I couldn't figure out what was up. And then the next day it happened again, and there was nothing. We have the whole, it's like Fort Knox in there. I couldn't figure out what happened. Come to find out, the little guy was putting his finger underneath there and lifting it up, going in there, lifting it up and going out again. We've fixed that since then, so that won't happen. But you know, they can figure out things. They know where the food is, and then they can kind of go from there. So we want to do some of these preventative things so we don't have the raccoons coming, because here's what I found out, which I couldn't believe.
There's another side to raccoons that isn't talked about enough, and that's just how dangerous they are. I'm talking about the unseen things like parasites, bacteria, and viruses that raccoons can and will spread to humans and our pets. Raccoon roundworm, canine distemper, leptospirosis, parvovirus, mange, fleas, and rabies.
And I've always heard that, you know, you don't want to mess with raccoon poop. You don't want it around. It's very toxic. You know, don't mess with it. And that's all I had heard about it, all right? Until I found out, like, why it's toxic.
Now, you were telling me something about not cleaning this up.
Yes, in the raccoon's stomach, there's a worm that lays its eggs in the feces. And 1 gram of feces can have up to 1 million eggs in it. If these eggs are ingested by a human being, it can be fatal.
Fatal?
Fatal. It's called Balis ascaris is the name of the worm, or raccoon roundworm. In most cases, I usually tell the homeowner to leave it well enough alone. In fact, the eggs last forever. There's no life expectancy of the eggs.
So what do you guys think about that? 1 million eggs per like gram, and it like can last forever. They can last forever. I mean, that's kind of creepy. So we want to make sure we don't want to have raccoon poop around where we're living, especially with children around, because it can be detrimental to young kids. If you're having a farm and you're having feed, it's really important, guys, that you keep your feed in like a can, a tin can. And I even find a lot of them, you have the plastic ones, but sometimes if they get knocked over, the lids can come right off on some of those unless they have like a lock. So make sure you have like a good snapping lock on it, or those good tight tin cans. Put a bungee cord on it. And then if you have any feed, if it's for your dogs or if it's your livestock or whatever, a lot of times when you're feeding, a lot of pieces of feed go on the ground. Well, you have possums and you have raccoons that come out at night and they're doing their things, looking for food. So make sure periodically that you're sweeping up the ground, because then you won't attract some of those animals. And another thing is, if you have fruit trees, you know, when the fruit falls off of our trees, if you have apple trees or pear trees or peach trees, and then the fruit falls to the ground, you know, you want to pick up that fruit, because it's going to attract your animals, other animals that you don't want on your property, like a raccoon. What we want to do is figure out ways to deter them from our property. And here's another really good one that I find is like those motion activated lights. So whether they're the solar lights or you have them, if you have electricity, however you have them, they work out very well. So as something goes across it, the light will come on and kind of deter them. So that's another really good one. Or another thing you can do is get some live traps. So you can contact your local Fish and Game and Wildlife Department, and they will be happy. A lot of times they will often give you the traps, or they'll have an agent come out and get the traps. There's certain times of the year that they can trap them. They can dispose of them, do whatever they do with them, or give you some ideas. But that's a great way to get rid of a lot of the population, is through a live trap. And one more thing to think about is during like the season when they start having their babies, between like January and June or so, they like to go into places like small crawl spaces underneath your porch, you know, underneath your house. Places like that, you may notice them. So maybe do things to deter them. You know, you can put, you know, vinegar around there, some cayenne pepper around there. I know people are saying how if you can have some old kitty litter that has been used, close up the areas where they could possibly go in so you don't have to have them around your area. Look at your home, look at your homestead, look where you are, you know, is your trash out, you know, things you do not want to attract these guys because they can wreak havoc, they carry lots of diseases, and they look awfully cute, but you know what? You never know. Now what I want you guys to do, and everyone here in the comment section will totally glean off of this, I want you guys to tell me and tell everybody about some raccoon stories, things how you've dealt with raccoons or some crazy raccoon stories that have happened to you. And I just can't wait to read them all. It's gonna be a hoot. So get a typing, and I hope you guys have an awesome day. See you later. Bye-bye. Say bye-bye to everyone. Come here. Turn around. You want to say bye-bye to everyone? Yes. Yes, you're feeling better, aren't you?